There you go. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's Kari with the Consistently Creative Crew, Cheryl and Colleen, and it is May of 2025. And I'm going to be talking about digitizing old media tonight because Forever has extended their 50% off sale for all digitization during the month of May, and that includes any new purchase boxes as well as any old expired boxes that people have at home that they haven't actually returned yet. And those will be, any overages on them will also be at 50% off. So this is a great time, whether you want to purchase a new box or you have a box sitting at home that has expired, to send it in. And there's been a lot of changes and a lot of improvements at Forever in their digitization services over the past few years, especially since they opened their new center in Green Bay when they built the new building. And I thought this is a great opportunity to just share a few things. So I'm going to share a few videos. I want to show you some things on the website. I want to show you where to get some resources. So let me get started. And I just want to start out by reminding people, what is digitization? So it's whenever you convert text, pictures, or sound into a digital form that can be processed by a computer, which was very interesting when I took a look at trying to find what's the official definition, and realizing that there are actually three different types of digitization. There's text-based, which is actually converting text into a digital form, which is actually just is truly a little bit more than scanning. There's also an image-based, where you're just digitizing still images. Then there's audio and visual, which kind of get lumped together. And I'm transforming audio and video content into digital files. And so they're all going to be kind of covered a little bit differently because they have some different aspects that are important in each of them. But just to touch really briefly, that preservation is really important with our physical media because things deteriorate over time. Things that are stored in one place are vulnerable to disasters like fire or floods or storms, but all things tend to deteriorate over time. It just depends on how long or what kind of time frame we're looking at. So whether they're old photos and maybe they're yellowing or they're curling, or they're a magnetic tape where that magnetic strip is actually starting to fall off and crackle. You want to try to get things into a digital format before they degrade so much that you lose a lot of things. And part of the thing is we don't all have equipment to watch all of these like old videos or listening to reel to reels anymore. And it's really hard to find decent equipment to actually watch it. And if you have a part go bad, that's also really challenging to replace parts or get a new part, or to even clean it, because there's not a lot of people who really know how to take the machines apart and give it a good cleaning. And I think many people don't tend to print their photos. They've got thousands of photos sitting on their phone or in cloud storage, and they don't tend to look at them or look at them in albums. And that's not necessarily true for a lot of our scrapbookers or their families, but I think that's true for a lot of people. It is convenient to have it digitized because once you have it digitized, it's easy to make and store multiple copies because you don't actually have boxes of things and bins of things, and it doesn't take up as much space. And it can be really easy to access them and share them. You don't have to go into the closet where you have the bin of items. You can actually just pull the things up on your computer. And digital allows you some extra features with organizing as well as enhancing images and improving sound quality that we cannot do with just a physical print that we have, or even with a lot of our old videotapes. So I think there's a lot of benefits to digitizing, but sometimes it's really hard to make the decision to go ahead and do it. And part of it is because how do you figure out who should do your digitization? And because you want to find somebody that you can trust to do it. It can make it really challenging to decide, do I spend the time or do I send it to somebody and what happens with that? So I wanted to talk a little bit about that tonight. So I think for most people, the decision is based on the item type, whether it's things like physical documents, like birth certificates, insurance cards, things like that. Things that have been commonly done by people at home on their scanners and printers and things like that for quite a long time. And the technology is pretty easily available or readily available for people. Then you've got a whole bunch of media, things like photos and negatives. And then there's audio, there's video and film. And video and film are actually considered two different categories. Video is anything that's contained in a type of a cassette type of box, where film is actually something where you'd see the tape and you'd have to wind the tape on a reel and thread it through a machine. And I'll show you some examples of those tonight. So physical documents, true text digitization, per the official definition, is actually converting the words to editable text. It's not typically necessary for most of the documents that we tend to consider when we really want to scan things, because it doesn't matter if they're editable. If we're scanning a document like a birth certificate or an award certificate or an announcement or something that was in the newspaper, you don't really want it to be editable. So you don't really need to have it converted into some type of thing that you can actually edit, even though that's the official definition. So, but we are concerned, or I should say, so people have been scanning things for a long time using printers and scanners in PDF format. More recently, people started using phone apps to kind of scan using their photo camera into a PDF. Just note that's not usually considered a really high quality or an archival level scan. So depending on what you want to use those types of images for, just be cautious and just be aware of the fact that you are really dependent on not only your camera, how clean it is, but also the processing that is done within whatever app. You can get great quality for what you might be doing, but it may not be great for some types of enlargements or some types of things that you might want to do. And things that are really large format, big newspapers, really large certificates, those really end up requiring a flatbed scanner in order to get a good resolution, because our camera lens is actually pretty small. So trying to take a picture of an entire newspaper, even if you lay it out and you're able to get it flat without any wrinkles or folds on your table, you're not going to get a high quality in focus image of all the text on that without using or with using your phone. So you probably want to go to a flatbed scanner. And a word of caution, and some places have flatbed scanners that are available for the public to use, but they're really easily scratched by the users. And if somebody is careless with a fingernail or a ring or a bracelet and they damage the glass on that surface, that glass has to be replaced, which basically means the machine has to be replaced. And if it's a public machine, many of the places that have these kinds of things don't have the money to be replacing those scanners all the time. So just be aware when you're doing these. If you want to do them, they definitely can be done on your own. But just be aware of some of the faux pas or the things that might get you into trouble. If you have really, really large images that require you to actually stitch these things together in order to make one big, huge image, okay, I've done that. It's really challenging. It is very tedious because everything has to line up. Your camera had to be at the same height away or the same distance away from the item that you were photographing, and that can make it really challenging to get them stitched together. And so to save yourself some time and some frustration, I really recommend having a professional scan large and extremely large format documents. Let them do that whole digital stitching together because it will save you a lot of time and quite a bit of frustration. So requirements when you are digitizing things. I think it's really important to be aware that not only do you need the appropriate equipment, but you also need the appropriate software, because if you're going to be trying to enhance any of the things that you're taking a digital image of, the software needs to be current, it needs to be up to date, it needs to have all the functionality that you want it to have, and you need to have the knowledge and the experience to do it. I do find that some people decide to start and then recognize that the time that they're going to have to put into scanning whatever these items are is going to be too much. And so, or they start and they realize they're not getting the quality they want. So I think it's really important to, be honest with yourself and think about, what can you do? What can you afford to do? And depending on whether you want to do photos or negatives or documents, each grouping of equipment, software, knowledge, experience, time is all going to be different. So if you have to do things one at a time versus being able to do a batch, that's also something to consider. So a lot of people talk about whether they should do this themselves or send it to professionals, but it can be expensive because you're paying somebody else to do the work and have the quality of a machine that you want to have your final output be. And so it is something to consider. And I think the other part is that, the digitizing yourself, it can be overwhelming. It can just be one more thing on your to-do list. It can be expensive. It can be time consuming, and you can have a lower quality than expected. And there's a lot of companies out there that digitize, and I've tried many of them throughout the years. And I do think there is something to be said about you do get what you pay for. And if you think about what it would cost you to do something and, an hourly wage, think about, how much time it would take you to do that. I think consider how much you would be paying for this service with various companies and what kind of quality you're going to get back. So I think it's kind of important to have some perspective on that. And so I know a lot of people shop around and compare prices and figure the prices are the same or different. And so the quality is the same, and that may or may not be true. So just a kind of a word of caution about that. So I've kind of covered these questions about knowledge, access to good equipment, access to good software, how much time it will take. And I have kind of gone over these 10 questions to ask yourself when selecting a digitization service. What types of items can they digitize? Where does the digitization take place? Does it actually take place in the US? Does it take place in the same place that you ship it to? There are a couple of companies who operate under different names. And so you send your materials to one location and then you get it back from a completely different state. So it depends on, whether they're outsourcing it. There were some that were actually sending them overseas to be done. So kind of just a thing to ask about. Do you get your originals back? I think most people want their originals back, but actually there's some companies who don't do that. Are they going to be, are your files going to be easy to access once it's been digitized? And do you have an opportunity to say, I'm not happy with something, I want something redone? Do you keep the digital rights to my files? As something we've talked about previously with Forever, something that I think is really important is being able to be sure that wherever your files are not only stored, but when they're digitized, that nobody else is data mining them or taking images and using AI on any of your items that you're sending in to have digitized. So can you easily share things? Are the techs trained? What kind of care do they give? How much are they paying attention? What types of enhancements do they have in QA steps? There are some companies who have no QA, and that has been a frustration for a variety of people. So something to pay attention to and take a look at. And does the company offer client care if you have questions? And one of the best places to look to find some of the answers to some of these is not only the website, but also to look at the Trustpilot reviews for the company, which while many of them will show them on their website, you can actually go to trustpilot.com and type in the name of the company and read some of the reviews. And you should do this with all sorts of companies that you might be interacting with, because you'll get, the good and the bad from a lot of people. And I'll show you that on Forever's website in a bit. So then there's also some technology questions, and I've put what, in my opinion, what the ideal answers are in parentheses. And if anybody wants this, you can let me know. I'm happy to share some of this information in a PDF format. But some questions to ask: are your photos, negatives, and slides dusted before scanning, or do you have to do that before it gets sent in? So you really want somebody else to be doing it. What resolution are photos scanned at? It should be 600 DPI. And if it's much lower than that, you really would like to have it scanned at this resolution. Negatives and slides. 1600 used to be kind of the size that people had, but 3000 is a little bit better now. And the technology is there to do that. What file format for all photos, negatives, and slides? It should be JPEG. Do they remaster your audio to get rid of things like blank sections or buzzing or hums? Should be yes. File format for audio files would be MP3. Is the video edited to remove blank sections? Because there's a lot of times where we'll have blank sections at the beginning, and sometimes we'll have them at the end. And when we get that digital file back, we really don't want to have to go in and trim it. Well, they do that for us. Is the video enhanced to apply color and brightness as well as like contrast correction? They should be doing that for you. When they digitize a video, are the audio levels adjusted to improve clarity? And is the audio resynced? So it's really common on extended play tapes for the audio to no longer sync up and match the lips. And I don't know about you, when I watch a video, if the lips and the audio are not moving, going together and matching, that's really bothersome. So they can resync it. It's the question of, do they take the time and do that for you? Do they resize the video and rescale it so that it's actually a full screen for you? They should be able to do that. Are videos cleaned and repaired if needed? And do they use MP4 file format for their videos? So they should be able to do all of that. And just a quick summary for photos, slides, large format scans, audio, videos, and film. These are kind of the standards as far as dots per inch file format. And just a note, video tapes, it was an analog thing at the time, and so you cannot actually get to HD from the analog. So, and I have analogy. I don't know when I typed that. Okay. So you can't get to HD from an analog tape. So while we get to MP4, you can't actually get to HD on a videotape. So I'm going to jump over to the Forever website and show a few things. So when you're on the Forever website, I just want to point out here that if you are interested in digitizing, it's actually the first thing here right after the Forever logo. So if you log into Forever, this is what your first page will look like. If you do not have a login, I know your page will look slightly different, but you can still get to forever.com and get to this page about digitizing. So when I click on digitizing, there's a lot of information here. And then if you scroll down, there is quite a bit here. So you can see here, there's this thing about Trustpilot, and this is the company that I would really recommend that if you want to uh, look at a company and the reviews. This is an independent company who sends out reviews when people use or purchase something with a specific company. So this is a good company to check out and just see what they have to say. So when you scroll down with Forever, you have a number of things. And I realized that I did not share my screen with audio, and I am going to stop and go ahead and share it with video and get it back here. So there we go. Sorry about that. So, because I want to show a few videos tonight. So as you scroll through here, there's a couple of things to note. You've got a couple of different size boxes, which I'm going to talk about. We have a number of items that you can actually digitize, and they have a lot of different formats here of things that you can digitize. I will talk a little bit about those, but videos are considered anything that came in like a boxed kind of cassette. So VHS, VHS-C, High 8, Digital 8, Mini DVs, Betamax, and DVDs didn't really come in the same style box, but these were all considered analog style videos. Film is, we've got 8 and Super 8, as well as 16 millimeter film. Most companies cannot take the sound off of these reels and actually digitize it at the same time. Forever's equipment can do that, so they're very unique in that. We've got photos between anything up to 8x10s would be considered a photo. Anything larger than that would be considered a specialty scan and need to be done on a flatbed. In photos, we've also got 35 millimeter, Advantix negatives, as well as slides. Audio formats, we've got cassettes, microcassettes, CDs, 8-track cassettes, records of all playing 33 and a third, 45 and 78, and then reel-to-reel audio. And then specialty scans would include scrapbook pages, large scans like newspapers or large maps. And then there are a huge variety. I had no idea how many different ones of large negatives and large slides that do not fit in the standard holders. There's even some stereo slides, and those end up being done as a flatbed scan on kind of a setup that our head of digitization actually designed in order to custom do these. So these are the variety of things that Forever can digitize. And if you want a lot more information that I'm going to share tonight, you can always scroll down. There's lots of questions here. I'm going to try to go over a few things tonight. So let me just show this first video here.
Every first is precious. First bike rides, dances, Little League games, and all of the seconds and thirds that come later. Your memories are timeless, but the tapes and film they were captured on aren't. Let's preserve them for future generations before it's too late. Forever offers an easy way to protect your family memories. We're driven by the belief that your memories should never be lost. Simply order a Forever box and fill it with your photos and videos. Follow the instructions inside for a seamless process. You can track your items every step of the way. Forever uses barcode technology and high-definition security cameras to ensure the safety of your memories. Once your items are digitized, you can save them on the only cloud-based storage that is guaranteed for your lifetime plus 100 years. Your memories are permanent, secure, and 100% yours. Nothing precious should be collecting dust. Try Forever today and bring your past to life.
All right. So let me talk about the boxes and selecting the box and how this works. So in order to standardize this in some manner, Forever decided to switch things off into 3 different size boxes. And with those 3 different size boxes, you can actually, you're prepaying for your some amount of digitization depending on the size of the box. And then anything else that will fit physically in the box, you can also have digitized and they will just bill you when they receive your box. So what ends up happening is you purchase a box, they send a box to you, and then you fill it and you send it back. And once you send it back, they will inventory it. You'll be able to track the progress, and I'll show you that. And items will be digitized, and then everything will be returned to you. So let me take a look at those boxes. So you can see here. So a small box is 13 by 13 by 3, and the prepaid price is for basically 2 items. Now, items is an old term that they used for people who were going to just digitize things like VHS tapes or audio cassettes, because all of those individual things is considered an item. And I can show you how much it is if you're doing scrapbook pages or other things, and we can use their digitization project estimator for that. With a medium box, it's 14 by 14 by 6, and the prepayment is 10 items. And a large box is 19 by 14 by 8, and it includes 20 items. So what happens is this box ends up getting shipped 3 times. It gets shipped to you empty, you ship it back full, and then it gets returned to you full. So because of that, Forever has decided that it really has to be a double box, and the boxes can't be reused because after 3 times of going through the shipment process, we don't know about the integrity of the boxes. So we encourage you to recycle the boxes yourself, but we expect not to actually reuse those for shipping any of your items because we don't know when that box integrity is going to fall apart. So the box comes to you, you fill it up, and based on how many items you're putting in there, you can kind of estimate what your prepayment is. So if we use this digitization uh, estimator, this is really helpful. So I'm going to just select one of each of the things so you can kind of see. They ask you, what are you digitizing? If you're really not sure. And this is just for you to have an idea of what your estimate is going to be. And you can also see the pricing of everything. So I'm going to say next. So I'm going to say that I'm going to send in maybe 2 VHS tapes. And you can see that would be a total of $30 because it's $15 per item at 50% off right now. And how many feet of film, and there is a video and I'll show you how to estimate, but you get an idea here. 3 inches is 50 feet, 5 inches is 200 feet, and 7 inches is 400 feet. So I'm just going to say I'm going to have 100 feet. So I'm just going to, well, no, I'll go with 200 because that would be 5 inches. And you can see here it's $15 per 50 feet. Photos, slides, and negatives. Let's say I'm going to send in essentially 2 rolls. I'll do 48. And you can see it's 60 cents per photo. And how many audio items? Let's just say I'm going to send in 1 cassette, and I've got that. Specialty scans are $1.25 per scan. And I'm just going to say maybe I'll do 40 album pages. And I'm just doing this so you can kind of see here. My estimate subtotal is 183. And because of that, if I don't have a box right now, I can add it later. But looking at this, I don't have a box, so I'm going to skip that step. So now I have some estimate of what my total is. So I'm going to end up spending about $183.80. I can print the estimate. I can keep it. I could actually take an image of this, a snip, or I could take a picture of it with my phone. And now I have some basis as to, well, how much am I going to prepay for? So based on that, a medium box is probably going to be very reasonable because I'm prepaying for $150 of that. So if I go into shop now, I can put any of these. I can change my mind here. I can put any of those items in the cart. So what do I mean about prepaying for things? So I had $183.50, I think it was, in my estimate. But I can't really prepay exactly for this. That would be actually quite a bit of coding in order to have it work out perfectly for everybody and every variety of items that they have. So they've standardized on these three different amounts. When you prepay it, so I've prepaid for $150. I could add a thumb drive if I want. I could add DVDs. I could have it be priority because I need it urgently or not. And then I can add this to my cart. So let's say I add it to my cart. I go ahead, I receive the box, I get it packaged up, I send it off. I still owe forever $33.50. So what I will do is I will get a invoice from them, and I'll show you in a few minutes how that works. And then I pay that, and once I've paid that, I actually will have my stuff go into the digitization queue. So I want to show you a couple of other places to find the videos that I'm going to show you. So on the Forever website, if you want to find somebody or some organization who might have an account, which I know that Forever Digitization has an account. So I am going to actually just type that in here and search for it. And you see Forever Digitization has an account. And they have a bunch of videos here that you can actually watch. So I want to show you about how to pack your box.
Congratulations! You have taken the first step to preserving your memories for generations by using Forever Digitization. Let's go through how to pack your box. First, open your Forever Digitization box and remove the contents. Inside, you will find an informational leaflet, zip-top bags in various sizes, barcodes for your items, and a copyright waiver form. Gather the precious memories that you would like digitized and group them together by media type. Scanning items such as photos, negatives, slides, album pages, or specialty scans should be bagged in groups and should contain only one media type per bag. On each bag of scanning items, please indicate the number of items inside and a title for that group. Apply one barcode to each tape, reel, or bag of items to be scanned. If you run out of barcodes, we will make sure each item gets one when your order arrives at our facility. We will keep your items in the order you have provided based on the item number at the top of the barcode. Next, you will want to fill out the order form inside of the leaflet with your information and any special notes about your order. There is also a handy checklist provided to make sure your items are packed properly. On the other side of the order form is an inventory sheet that can be filled out. This will help you estimate the cost of your digitization project and help us as we enter your order into our system when it arrives. Insert all of your items and the completed order form into the large slide top Forever bag and then place the filled bag into your box. Add packing material as needed. You are now ready to return your box to your ambassador. When we receive your box, we will inventory your items, enter them into our system, and email you an invoice. To pay for your order, log into your Forever account and click on the cart icon at the top of the page. Then click on the media conversion link. Once payment is made, your order will enter the production queue for digitization. You can track your order at any time by logging into your Forever account and going to your My Forever Box Center. If you have any questions, please contact your ambassador or reach out to Forever Client Care at support@forever.com or by calling 1-888-367-3837.
So that showed you a lot about what they have there for the Forever Digitization and packing your box. There is another one about how to track and view your order as you go through the process, which I'm really not going to share tonight. It's very similar to that last screen. One comment I had about the thing that she said about returning it to your ambassador. So if your ambassador was packing it up or packing it as part of a group box, you would return that blue box to them. But if you're shipping it on your own, you're going to want to put it inside the brown shipping box and take it to a FedEx location. And I personally like to go to FedEx locations when possible, as opposed to a multi-shipper location. I've had a lot of great success with FedEx locations. And one thing that Eric Napier, the director of digitization, said during Pixie Bowl, that we have never had a box lost. So that should give you some little bit of comfort that Forever can actually keep track of your items and that we have a very good partnership with FedEx. I have a couple of other videos that I want to share, and one of them comes off of Facebook. So if you are on Facebook and you have, there we go, the digitization, nope, Forever, I've got to search Forever Digitization. Forever Digitization as a group that you're following, they have a Facebook page for Forever Here, and they include reels, they include information. There's actually a lot of really good stuff here, but I want to show you what the Digitization Center looks like in Green Bay, just in case you haven't already seen it. So it was built and designed by Eric Napier, had his hand in it a lot in order to get it designed with the QA that he was really interested in. And I've got this video, and the quality on this video is not great. He was actually using his phone camera to show a little bit of the new center. This was done in October of 2023. But there's a couple of things that I want to point out to you. So he's going to share the loading dock, and he's actually walking around the facility himself, talking, pointing, and holding the phone. So just bear with the jittery camera a little bit.
FedEx driver pulls up, and we purposely made
And I have it on high speed, so let me slow it down.
this entrance super, super big because, as you know, the weather can be kind of interesting here in Green Bay, especially in the wintertime. And over the last week and a half, we've had nothing but rain. So this gives him the ability to just back right in here. And then we don't have to worry about anything getting wet or, snowed on and that kind of thing. So we load up the truck and he takes off with your box and delivers, gets delivered to your house. When you fill it up, obviously it comes right back through this door. So you can back up. We put everything on a rack and it goes right through here. That's my electric bike. That's what I take to lunch every day. It comes right through here, and this is the intake area. So this is where your box gets opened up and where they inventory all of the items that you've put in there. And I wanted to show you something cool. A lot of folks don't know. Let me see here. So I pulled this up. This is an old order of Erica Berg's, but just so you know, those barcodes, every time somebody scans that barcode, it leaves a trace. And so we have a history. So the history of your box starts basically right here when they start entering those items into the system. And so every single time somebody touches your box, or every single time somebody touches an item in your box, it gets logged. We know who did it, what time it was, what day it was, exactly what was happening, that this was, operation, somebody was QAing it. We even know when it was scanned, we know what piece of equipment it was scanned on. And the reason why all of this is important, all these timestamps are important, is because if you look everywhere in our warehouse, over top of every single station, there is a high definition camera. So we can log those two things together. So I know when it was scanned and who scanned it and what piece of equipment. And if for some unforeseen reason there's a problem or Allison needs to go check on something, we can also reference the camera. We know exactly what time, we can look at the camera and know exactly what time.
Wow.
So that, I think, is a pretty amazing feature that Forever has in order to pay attention to that QA, which no other facility has. And it was really important to Eric to be able to do that when they were building the new facility. So I think that's pretty amazing. And there have been uses of it. And I think it's a great thing, a great feature that Forever has. So I had indicated that there were some videos about a few specific things that I wanted to show based on some questions that I had earlier about 8mm tapes. And you would have seen it in the digitization building introduction that I showed that was on Facebook, but I didn't stop and point it out, but I thought it might be useful for you to see this. Really, I think it's a really neat piece of equipment. If you are interested in this kind of thing and you want to see a little bit more about that, let me know, because Eric did do a recording during the Pixels to Pages Over the Rainbow crop, and that's actually on a public facing page where he shows a little bit more about this machine, but this is one that they have for the film reels.
Thank you for choosing Forever Digitization. We understand how important preserving your past is. We love what we do, and it shows through the care we put into every memory you send us. 8mm, Super 8mm, and 16mm film. Forever specializes in digitizing 8mm, Super 8mm with sound, 16mm, and 16mm film with optical sound. Recognizing the exceptional image quality that film offers, we have invested in cutting-edge digitization technology for this medium. Our film capture units, hand-built in the Netherlands, employ sprocketless tension to delicately advance your film beneath a high-quality, German-made Schneider lens. These units capture an HD photograph of each frame, seamlessly stitching them together to create a moving picture. Forever stands as the sole company in the digitization industry employing this state-of-the-art technology. We take pride in delivering the highest quality film digitization available, ensuring your cherished memories are preserved with utmost precision. All film is converted to a high-quality MP4 file.
So that machine, I think, is pretty amazing because not only is it capturing all of this, let's see here if I can get back to it, without needing to worry about the sprockets on the edge of the film, which tend to get degraded over time and sometimes they just break. But it is actually capturing this very high definition image of each of the individual images on the film, because that's what film is. It's individual images that are, when they're put together in a fast enough speed, they actually look like they're moving. So all of these old film we're actually just recreating, and since they actually have the software to go through, and as they showed, I don't know that I can get back to it. They have the ability to edit and enhance all of those individual images. Yeah, I just kind of went over it, but I think this is pretty neat that they can do this. The machines are actually quite expensive, and I think in the other longer video, Eric talks about that Forever is probably the only company that has a CEO who would be willing to purchase this type of piece of equipment in order to do this. So there are people who have had film digitized previously with somebody else, or even with Forever a long time ago, who've gone back and had it redigitized with this quick equipment and found that it was significantly better and better done because the technology is here in order to do that. So that was one thing I wanted to share. And I also wanted to share, I'm going to try to put this up here. If you haven't seen this, This was on the digitization page a while ago. If you aren't sure if your film has sound or not, you want to look for a gold magnetic strip on the side of your film opposite of where the sprockets are. If this gold strip is on the side there, that means that there is an audio track to your film, and Forever can digitize that and they will capture that sound during the digitization process, which I think is actually pretty neat. Um, let's see here. So I also had, I'm just about done, but a couple of the things that I thought were really interesting is that they had on the Facebook page, they have a bunch of reels here. And they talk here about cleaning their reel-to-reel audio players because the people's uh, audio tapes that are going through here are going to be dirty after all the years they may have been sitting, in a closet or an attic. And so they do regularly go in and clean them. And even some of the other ones, like the one I just showed, they have some quarterly contracts for having them cleaned. I am not sure that how many other companies, how often they clean some of these things. So I think that's uh, pretty nice. But in addition, they actually go through, if you are sending in things like records, they will clean them before they go ahead and try to capture the audio recording. And we already saw I believe the negatives, right? So they dust those off and before they go through and process them. And all of these videos are out on their Facebook digitization page. This is actually kind of neat that they clean all of these individually and then they give it one more blow off of uh, the whole cartridge. Here's 35mm slides.
Thank you for choosing Forever Digitization. We understand how important preserving your past is. We love what we do, and it shows through the care we put into every memory you send us. 35mm slides. 35mm slides represent the positive image counterpart to 35mm negatives. All slides are dusted by our technicians before scanning. Slides typically come encased in cardboard or plastic frames, sometimes featuring a metal border. We ask that you remove slides from the metal border frame prior to sending them in for digitization. We would also ask that slides be removed from carousels and grouped in bags. We use high-resolution DSLR cameras to scan 35mm slides. All slides are processed through our color correction and dust and scratch removal software at no additional charge.
That's where you were.
So sorry about that. I had muted myself because I was taking a drink of water while the video was replaying and then I didn't unmute myself. So Sorry about the blank spot here, but this is where I was. I had just shown the video of the slides, but there's a whole bunch of items here that are individual videos that you can watch and take at your own leisure for depending on whatever you might want to see, whether it's album pages, specialty scans, specialty negatives and slides, which are those larger ones. And he has some really interesting equipment that was designed specifically to do that. And just to remind you how to get back to this page, if you go to forever.com and type in here forever digitization, it will show up here as a profile, and you can always get back to all of these recordings that I was referencing this evening. So we've got how to pack your box, how to track and view your order. And then this last one, this one here is about what we digitize. The one box videos are very similar. I'm not actually certain why we have both of these, but they're here and you can find them. The other place to find information about Forever is to go to the blog. So again, from forever.com, go to the blog post. And there is a tab here specifically for everything digitization. So there's quite a bit of information here. And if you are a Pixels to Pages member or a former Pixels to Pages member and you happen to know Tamika Bond, she talks here about and has a blog post about a VHS tapes that she had sent in. It's a little bit of a tearjerker, so you might want to have some tissues if you go back to take a look at this and read it. So, but there's information about here as well as on their digitization page on Facebook. So a couple of different places to look for information about digitization. And I'm going to go back to forever.com. And again, the deals is through the end of the month. It will be 50% off. Everything that you purchase that you prepay for at the time of purchasing a box is 50% off. Anything that you return within your box that's extra will also be 50% off if you return the box within 90 days. And so that is an awesome thing that Forever has going on. And I think the last thing was to mention the bonus coupon. So if you're going to buy a box from Forever or purchase anything else, they've got the special bonus coupons going on, which are given out with $100 or $200 gift certificates. So the bonus coupon, the fine print is here, and it actually allows you to create your own sale, which I think is a wonderful thing. So if you're not quite ready to purchase a digitization box or purchase something else right now, when we've got great sale prices, you could purchase a $100 gift certificate. You can even use club dollars to do that. And you get this bonus coupon. So then when you are ready, you can use the bonus coupon at checkout on 50% off digitization or digital art or print, any of the products that go up to 50% off. So this is a great way to take advantage of club dollars that you may have been saving and still get the great sale price. So I don't know if anybody here has any questions. I know that was a lot. I hope that it was all useful to you, and I hope you found some of it interesting. Does anyone have any questions before we stop the recording?
I have a comment.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you noticed when you were watching some of those videos. I noticed this when I saw the video of them working on my box. When you talk about the care, did you notice that they are wearing gloves anytime they are handling our media?
Yes.
They are putting tremendous care into this. The only time I saw them not wearing gloves is just when they're typing on the keyboard.
Yeah.
They're using gloves even when they're using the machines
Yes.
that are touching
Yes.
our media. So I
They
just want to make that I noticed that right away. It's like for real.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for commenting on that. That is true. And they really do care, and they've all digitized their own things and their family things. And they're, real people that we can talk to and interact with, and they share things out on the digitization page. So And they're great. And I've spoken with Eric a few times, our director of digitization, and it's really important to him. He feels that the quality needs to be there. So thank you for that comment. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate your time in watching this. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and I am happy to answer anything that you might have.